Hey, it's Ember. I my last video was kind of a little heavy, so I kind of want to go another direction, and I want to speak about one of my favorite passions and subject within myself, especially within this story, and that is the slow egg crack involving my dancing. Slow egg crack being like a concatenation of events and perspectives and experiences that led me very directly, but maybe in an elongated fashion to my transition here. And so I guess one of the first things to mention is like back in the day when I was in college, some people joke that I began the rave scene there. And by that, we just happened to have an opportune place to throw a few parties, and they were extremely open and accepting, and it involved DJs and whatever you wanted to wear, attire, and so it allowed me to feel a version of myself in free movement and in freedom of attire that seemed to overcome the sometimes mountain of shame that would hold in this expression within me, the um, the true heat of the ember that I was trying to express and touch on, and uh, and so then from there, I would, you know, try to find out more about different scenes like that, electronic music scenes, rave scenes, and then eventually Burning Man. And each of these places carries like a wild humanity, a cultural dissolution of, the cultural paradigm. Uh, uh, and so you could say there's a transparency of the human heart. You could say you have an ease of expression that you don't normally find in other places due to things like radical tolerance, radical self-expression. Um, and when I went to Burning Man eventually, I really started to tune in my attire. I would notice in a way like, wait, girls get to wear that? Like, and it was ridiculous at Burning Man. People wear all sorts of wild stuff and custom stuff. And I was entranced by it in a way, and I said, can I do that? And so I made it my quest in a way. I was never into clothing or fashion or strange clothes or things out of the ordinary, but I guess I fell in love with it at Burning Man. And then I would also mention that uh, I there was an experience that I had that I always recount the same way, and I think it was like a seminal moment of my want to be a dancer. And that's more than just dancing and ecstatic dancing and free dancing. It was watching a woman get up on stage at a certain burn event, and at Burning Man, you don't you don't really have rules in that typical sense where no security is going to come pull you off for the most part, and you're not going to be kicked out. So if you die, you die type of thing. And so people get up on stage, people get up on speakers, which I really love. And I watch a woman get up there, and she seemed to have this exude this magnetic power where she wasn't forced up there, she wasn't paid to go up there, she wasn't, whatever. It wasn't some sort of push outside of her will. It was her own accord, in her own power, in her own magic and magnetism, to the point where it was like hypnotic. She was shamanizing the crowd. It was like, in my mind, almost like true power, you could say. Um, and I just remember that day, I was like, can I do that even though I have XY chromosomes? Which is funny to say, especially now. There's so many instances where, like, looking back and I'm like, it was right here. It was like right here for so long. And so then I really made it my quest to express myself through my attire and my dance, often combined, sometimes with little like fake tattoos on me, whatever it was, to add a shine of please see me receptively, beautifully, soft, delicate, in my own way, even though I was doing it in this like intense, supposedly cis male presenting, uh, often hypermasculine in a way, form, even though that was the true core desire in my heart. Um, and it was hard to articulate, hard to describe, but it's definitely something that drove me again and again and again. And when I found myself and when I saw myself, I would fall to tears at Burns and say, where have I been? Like, where have I been slumbering that I now feel so alive and awake and embodied? What have I been doing for all those years and those times in between the moments of awakening? if I juxtapose the moment of awakening to the rest of my existence, it seems like I was almost locked in a cell that I never knew that I could open the door myself. And that's a deep perception. And um, I would live for burns for that reason, in a way that I didn't see it, because not that, I mean, burns are awesome. If you have any interest in Burning Man, please go, please look into it. But it's that space of free cultural expression, of radical self-expression, of, you know, a very accepting community and a very open palette to express yourself. That gave me the courage by seeing other people um, stand up and be totally themselves. And that's obviously one of the reasons I'm making these videos to such an extent. And so I eventually took all that, like, Burning Man want, where I was getting up on stages and dancing and being in the right outfit and feeling like beautiful, you know, whatever, um, and really putting myself out there in a way that was almost like, please see me. Do you see me? Do I see me? And I feel like that was the feeling, you know, and always a frustration that I could not connect in the way that I truly desired, despite how good I got with my moves or my body or my attire. It just seemed like this gap that I could not bridge, no matter how hard I tried. Um, and So then I eventually found VR, and in virtual reality, there's one of the best metaverses, if the best metaverse, is called VR Chat. And VR Chat has many different dance scenes, club scenes, deeper than you could ever imagine. And I didn't ever think that I would get into something like burlesque or lap dancing, especially in virtual reality. But uh, I was with a friend who kind of urged me to go to a tryout, and I said, okay, sure, I'll try it. I was kind of just riding the waves of the Burning Man spirit and thinking, like, if I can do those things like that there, can I do things like that here? And I tried, and I was actually pretty good. And then something weird happened to me, like the first club that I tried out for, and I was really, like, nervous about it. They were like, oh, you could join us, but we want you to be in a feminine avatar. We feel like your moves are more feminine. And at the time I said, it was like transphobia. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be in my avatar because that's my choice, and I'm going to do my moves as I want anyway. And so I tried out for another club, and I got in, and ever since then I was, um, you know, whatever, really hooked on it, I guess you could say. And so then I got pretty good in the scene where most people knew me, in the little corner that I was in. And I was being accepted anywhere I tried out for. And one of my clubs came to the town that I live in, and I met him at a pool party, and there was a DJ. And I had this experience where I felt I had permission by being with them to dance as I did in virtual reality. And so I was just doing basic stuff, you know, just like basic, like whatever, body rolls and stuff like that, and different things. And I swear, it must have been like 40 or 50 people came up to me at this place within like a span of 2 or 3 hours, and said, "You want to? Do you work here? Can you come dance at our table?" A girl slapped me, slapped me on the ass and bought me a drink, which just never happened to me at that point. I was like, "What is this?" I just like moved my body a little bit, and like I had been playing music for a long time, and I hadn't gotten a reception that was just so in my face, and like so many people coming up to me. And then I thought to myself, in my normal like existence, when I feel like I'm straitjacketed, that like my heart energy wants to pour out. It wants to beam out like a laser beam of love and passion, and it has to be shunted down these cultural hallways where it's like it's like I can't get the pure expression out, and that's infinitely frustrating. But then in my art and in my dancing, it's pedal to the metal, no friction, no gas necessary. It just goes, and then people see it. In other words, alignment. Some sort of deep internal alignment, where the place that I pulled from, I now entirely define as feminine, but back then I defined it as, I don't know, in a way like, I don't know, delicate, even bottomy in a way, dare I say. And so like I was like, well, maybe that's just what it is. Maybe that's just what I'm about. But now I see it. It was touching that part of my heart and touching that part of my soul. And I think that's what I felt that day. It was like such an original expression of myself, and instantly people noticed. And so that's one of the lessons that I'm trying to project here, that despite whatever fear you have, despite the uncomfortabilities of the process of being transitioning, um, digging down and finding that most authentic expression of your most authentic self and just beaming it like a radiant sun is what's going to pull in the life that you desire, the love and the friends and the people who support you and the way you support them back. And so really the quest is here, more than it is out there. And I just want to remind myself and you guys out there about that. And so, yeah, I mean, even once I started to really dance, I started to send videos with the help of a very, very dear person to me, and send them out to some people who did burlesque shows around here. And I happened to get in and started dancing at burlesque shows about like 8 times at like paid, burlesque shows. Not that it was about the money. I was just so proud of myself. And at the time I was called Trailblazer, which I, built into Ember. And I remember standing behind the curtain and then like, and now Trailblazer. And I was like, this is insane. It's like out of my whole life. I became like I got my degrees. I did everything that the check boxes of success that my family or society was trying to call from me. But this almost felt like one of the first personal, beyond my family, dreams come true. That it was like, it was totally me in a way that I had not experienced before. And that was super special. And that gave me even more confidence to like express that more and more and more. And then, I think that it just hits me now because in the early stages of my dancing, especially in VR, but really now all the time, every song I dance to is like a feminine vocal song for the most part, and then I often like to sing to it too. And all my moves, I was like, a guy can't do that. A guy can't dress like that, and it would like really mess with me. But the more I did it, the more it was like I wanted to shine as brightly as I could in the choreography, and I would choreograph all week to do the dance. And in a way that was so bright, so beautiful, and so bold and artistic that who's gonna say something against me when I'm doing it on stage in such a way? And so it was like a way to bring what was on the inside on the outside in the most artistic way. And I describe it as a slow egg crack because it was like I saw it more and more as I went on, and here again you can see the blind moth to flame. It's like I knew where the heat was even early in like the more college days, but I couldn't quite, because of so much resistance, I couldn't quite feel it. Under the ashes I couldn't quite feel the ember, and it took me like setting myself ablaze, setting my heart ablaze, and say like what is the deepest form of my intuition and what really lights me up, and being unabashed in that, being bold in that, and never giving up on that little voice in myself that said, please see me. And now it feels like I was wearing a shirt for my whole life that was like inside out, and everyone just accepted it because it was like, I made it as nice as possible, I guess. But now I've turned it over and flipped it inside out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks and fits better than ever. And like wow, like, and even in the dancing, just bring it back to dancing for a moment, my moves, I've been very shy to come back into the scene, but I have, and my moves are very much the same, but also more developed, where I feel even more embodied in a way before I felt like I was reaching for. And so thanks for sticking around during this little part of my quest, and I just hope that this gives some fire to those going through something similar, and to those who are allies and here for information. I hope you hear the earnesty in my heart, and where I'm coming from. Thanks for being here. I'm Ember, and I'll talk to you guys later.